Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Today's episode, we are going on to the spooky, weird, and terrifying side of Metro Manila. We're talking, of course, about the new Netflix animated series based on the award-winning comics Trese.
Choknat! Bigyan mo ako ng choknat.
You don't need to do that voice if you really want a chocolate though.
I just really want choknat, okay? It's so relatable. Wouldn't you spill the
I'll
tea?
send you some.
I would do anything for chocolate right now.
I don't remember what chocolate tastes like.
What?
Well,
I wish the big one existed, but yeah, anyway. Yay! Trese!
I'm allergic to peanuts.
Oh!
sorry.
Y'all suck.
Yeah, but
You're
that
all
doesn't stop you.
nutsist.
That doesn't stop you from eating Reese's peanut butter cups.
Don't tell my doctor that.
He wants to die happy.
I will.
Okay, we're talking about food. We're not here to talk about food.
This is a food podcast. We just did the movie thing just to get the studio on our side.
Yes.
No,
So on
all
today's
right.
menu,
Okay, before we forget anything else, we are the Sub-Auteurs. I'm Misha.
I'm MJ.
and I'm Anjo, and
We
we're
talk
talking
about
food
movies.
Not food.
Okay, we talk about food and movies.
and movies.
Oh, okay, we already started with chocolate. It's all downhill from here.
Well, technically, Trese isn't a movie, but it's highly anticipated, and we're very proud that it is It is of local origins with the comic book by Cajo Baldissimo and
Budgetan.
Budgetan. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, people were waiting for it. We've had 2 dubs. Well, 2 advertised
3.
dubs. You also have it in
Oh, well.
Spanish and etc. in Japanese. But yeah, starring beautiful Filipinas, Liza Soberano and Shay Mitchell.
Yeah.
What was cool about it was that it seemed that they took a lot of effort to preserve the, for lack of a better word, the Filipino-ness of it, which I greatly enjoyed. And you can see that in everything from the casting to the production design. For the English voice cast, the majority of them are Filipino Americans, including the likes of Lou Diamond Phillips, Dante Basco, Shay Mitchell, who is Filipino Canadian. So
Darren Chris is there too.
Jason
Darren Criss is
Mendoza.
there.
Wait, what's his
Oh my
real
God,
name?
I love Jason Mendoza.
What's his real
Jason
name?
Mendoza.
I forgot.
It's
You can do it.
Manny something.
Manny Jacinto. There you go.
Jacinto.
Manny Jacinto. There you go.
There you go.
It's just, can you just say I was so surprised he was there because every time I hear or I see him, all I hear is, "But I thought this is what cheating meant." It's like all I hear from him is his voice as his character in The Good Place.
Jalapeno
You know who I missed? I
poppers?
missed Pillboy.
What?
I missed Pillboy because I saw him in Loki and I'm like, how come he's not in Trese?
Oh yeah, Pillboy's in Loki. I haven't seen Loki yet though. I've seen the screen caps.
Anyway, back to Trese.
Right. Okay.
So it's
okay.
so it's a 6-episode Netflix original anime, and it premiered early June. And got a lot of people talking, especially, of course, its target market, the Filipinos. And we loved how relatable it has been from the start, even through the 4-minute trailer or the 4-minute snippet of the start, even before you watch the series. It starts with the MRT breaking down, and can you even get more relatable than that? The MRT
train
breaking down. Yes, this is so Filipino.
How effing sad is that? And the cool thing is that, it was based on the comic book, and because the creators aren't based in Manila anymore, si Budget is in Denmark and si Kadjo is based in Davao. But when they were prepping the show, the producers, si Jay Oliva, the director, who's also Filipino-American, and some of the design team, they came to Manila with a list of places that Budget made for them, places that they had to visit to get a feel for the city. places that were essential to this to get an essence of what they were trying to get across. And they rode the train. I heard Budget said that they rode the train. And it didn't break down that day. But
Oh, thank good for
it
them.
came up in
Lucky them.
but it came up in conversation while they were on the train. Oh yeah, this thing breaks down all the time. And they're like, holy crap, that sounds scarier than anything in the comic book. We got to put that in because they said that people have to walk on the tracks in the middle of the night. Oh my God, we're putting that in. So and they did.
And
I've
they
done
did,
that.
yes.
Well, not in the middle of the night, but I have done that.
Yeah,
Walked on the
I've
train.
actually fallen onto the tracks.
Oh my God.
Okay, I can. I have a good reason. Okay, I dropped my pen. So
Jesus.
I bent over to get the pen, and then my backpack went over my head. And next
Oh
thing
my
I know,
God.
I'd done like a forward flip onto my back. I was like lying on the rails. I'm like,
Oh
what the
my
hell did I
God.
get down here?
The worst that's happened to me was my bag was left hanging out from the door. It was so packed. I was like, oh, my stuff!
Oh wait.
Luckily, my bag was intact afterwards.
Oh yeah, and nobody stole it or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, because the stealing happens a lot.
Well,
there,
that
to be honest.
wasn't the MRT. That was the LRT. So
It's still our trains.
it's
There
still
was
our
this
trains,
one time.
Our trains suck.
Yeah, they really do. There was this one time I was it was crowded, right? So everybody's trying to get in, catch that train in front of them. So I was just like, alam mo yung nagpapadala ka na lang sa crowd, hindi ka na naglalakad. Parang, woo.
Yeah, but
And then when I got to the door, my leg literally slipped up in between of the
Platform and the door.
Yeah, the platform and the door in between
What
my
the
legs.
shit?
I
Oh,
was really
shit.
skinny back then, but I fell there. Good thing people helped me up.
Jesus.
But
Oh,
anyway,
that's a sucky thing.
That happened to a friend of mine too, but she wasn't, but she wasn't really a skinny girl.
See, that's
But
the
she's-
cool
she's-
thing because you were helped. I was not. I was lying on the tracks. I was like, how did I get down here? And everyone was just looking at me, but nobody made a move to help me. Like I had to pull myself up out of there, and they were all just still looking. Nobody was helping.
Oh, I thought they were laughing.
No, they were not. They were just being jerks. In
Well,
my
lucky
defense,
you.
it was a cool pen.
What was the
G-Tech.
pen?
It was a free
Pilot?
pen that I
Pilot.
got with my McDonald's sticker in the drive-thru.
Jesus.
Oh my God. Was that your
Anyway.
only pen?
Okay, going back to Trese. So like
See how
Sorry.
relatable it already is? Just
I
like
know,
one
right?
part of it. The train breaking down triggers so
because
many memories.
everybody's got horror stories, man. Everybody's got horror stories about riding the trains here.
Yeah, but going back to what Misha said about the design team, the art team, they had that came here just to see with Budget's bucket list or like list of places they had to see because he used it in his original material. I found it really cool because it was one of the things that made this year so authentic. Like as much as how supernatural it was or how fictional the source material was, this year's was just so authentic because you had iconic buildings or iconic streets that you would see
Yes.
as a Manileño. Like you would see what was that, De La Costa in Makati.
Yes.
The Meralco building along Ortigas.
Mhm.
The skyline of Makati with that gigantic pyramid on top of one of, I don't know what the name of the building is, but you know what I'm talking about.
That's
And what's
probably one
cool
of
is
my
that-
favorite parts.
Yeah, exactly. Because in that building, they actually were able to use that image in the storyline, right? It was actually part of a character's where
Just
a character
say it.
lives. Where a character lives. I just said it. It's just trying to find the right words.
For anyone wondering, the story revolves around Alexandra Trese, who is a paranormal detective who helps out the cops whenever something weird, spooky, creepy, or supernatural happens in Metro Manila. That's why it was really cool seeing places that we could identify, places that we've all been to, places that we all know basically by sight. And Ancho's right. The fact that we could like actually relate to the places and themes of the story as they were happening, it just added another layer for local audiences. And I guess this is what people in New York must feel like whenever they see their city ravaged by aliens and monsters and ghosts and demons and robots and whatnot. But in this case, seeing Filipino supernatural mythological creatures, demons, entities, it was incredible. It was a trip.
Mm-hmm. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were painted so beautifully too. And it's not like it's not a photo, but you know, the rendering of it's just it fits so well with the animation, and it's still very familiar. And I've walked that street at that time, and it does look like that, and it feels just like that. Only extra creepy because there are demons, but you know, probably when we're all okay and walking out there in the world again, we'll not see them the same way. Probably expect like a little Nuno somewhere to pop up while you're walking down that street.
Depends if you have chocolate or not.
So it's like you haven't seen the show. It's basically like if Batman, John Constantine, and Buffy had a child in Manila. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And it's just fun seeing how much ass she kicks and how she works in how the creators were able to work in classical bits of our mythology and wrap them around a modern day framework. And seeing it on screen on an international platform like Netflix, that is just insane. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar, but see, Budget and Kajo, they started making this essentially on their lunch breaks back in the days when they were young advertising people in like the early 2000s. And it got to the point where Kajo told Budget just write it and I'll draw it. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to commit. I'm going to draw and ink 1 page a day, every day until we finish one story.
Cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's what they did.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they start this out as like this online thing where they would just post the original artwork, original material online until it got compiled and they were able to publish it as a book?
They just printed it. They printed it in a nearby photocopy shop and they stapled their own copies and they hand them out to local comic book stores. I think they were selling
basically what Eastman and Blair did for Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, the first one, yeah. So like Budget said like they would give the comic shop like 30 copies and then the week later the guys are asking for more. So they would give more. And then eventually the comic book stores were asking for more stories. So they made more stories until, they were able to get like proper publishers and so on and so forth. And now there's like 7 volumes of compiled short stories. And that's
now there's
what
like
the
a
show
TV
is based on.
Netflix series.
And now there's a Netflix series like 15 years later. Like, holy crap.
What
are we doing with our lives?
I can imagine the labor of love that went into that, like photocopying each page and doing everything by yourself. And to see everything unfold and celebrated this way in 2021 must feel amazing.
Yes. Insane. Absolutely. And the funny thing is like Budget works for the ad agency of Lego now in Denmark. So he's still in advertising, but it's something that's near and dear to him now. He's doing Lego. And he's like juggling interviews with media from all over the world while doing his day job as advertising in Lego. And I asked him, do they know what you're doing? And he's like, no, I didn't tell them. I'm like, are you serious?
Why?
You're talking to media all over the fucking world about your Netflix show and hindi ka nagpaalam sa boss mo. Nice.
That's funny.
Does the boss know now? Because if they listen to this,
that's a good question.
I doubt they listen to this podcast. Whatever. Nobody listens to this podcast.
I have a more important question though. Does he get discounts from Lego?
What? Does your wife know you're soliciting for Lego?
Hey, it's for my kid.
That's what they all say.
He's too young to play with Legos.
What? No. It's for us to share our time together. Come on.
You're so full of shit. Your kid can't even hold his head up by himself yet.
He can. Have you seen my Instagram stories? Jeez.
Fine. But back to the show. What I like about the show was in the first 5 minutes, they do a really good job of setting the mood. They open it up with a crime scene. The cops are there. And right off the bat, you know exactly where you are. They start with a shot of the Balete Street and the street sign on the corner of Balete and 13th. And I'm like, it just sucks you right in because, we all grew up hearing ghost stories of Balete. We've been there. We've seen it. So to see it realized in animated form by animators and creators who obviously love the source material, it was just really cool to see.
Yep. My friend actually messaged me like, wait, Diba, dumadaan tayo dyan dati pa uwi lagi galing school. It's like, oh, that's where I used to drive.
See any white ladies there?
No, thankfully that was around 4 p.m., 5 p.m.
Okay.
Jeez, I would not want to see a white lady in the back seat. Like, seriously, though.
Okay.
Nope.
I have a question, though. So we were talking about the Filipino dub and the American dub. Which one did you guys end up watching in?
I would flip-flop between the two.
Yeah, same. My wife will kill me for saying this, but I will.
She's got lots of reasons to kill you.
Yeah, that's true, but she's not quite as good she can't pick up Tagalog as fast as she can pick up English. So sometimes we would flip-flop between the two dubs.
I love how you tried to be diplomatic and you still screwed it up.
No matter how diplomatic I tried.
No. This is like when you tell her that she won't understand because she's from AC. That's horrible. Whoa!
What? I don't say that. I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You did that one time.
Not on recording. And she was there. And she was beside me when I said it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you said it to her face that she wouldn't understand.
Was this the time we were playing Call of Duty on Zoom and she did a death glare of some sort? I think that was the time.
Anyway. I personally, I like the Filipino dub. I know that there's issues with it, but for me, it just worked. For me, it just worked better in the local context because you're watching a Filipino story with Filipino characters. I know the comics were written in English originally, but it just weirded me out in the English dub where Alexandra is the only one with a pure North American accent and everyone is trying their best to sound Filipino. Speaking English.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. No. I think it's because they all grew up in America that they all just sounded Mexican in their attempt to sound Filipino.
Anton Trese I don't know. Anton Trese sounded like he was confused. Like he wasn't sure if he was Chinese or Mexican. It's like he would go like Alexandra Trese. I was like, what? I don't understand this guy's accent. I don't know where he came from.
Anton is Alexandra's father. For everyone listening. Yeah, I know you know. They don't.
Okay.
I just assume that they've seen it, so.
Well, some people were complaining about the Tagalog version probably not rolling as smooth to the tongue or like with the... So, bale, the AV lock was fit more for the English.
Yeah.
Because I think it was originally dubbed in English and then they just like put Filipino over it, which is why it didn't fit as smoothly when you were watching it. But I still preferred the Filipino version because I don't know, it just felt like classic anime to me. I do have some qualms over some of the voice acting, which we will get to later, but in general, it felt like I was watching GMA 7 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Probably something like Ghost Fighter on.
Stuff.
Yeah, it really felt like that. And even if the language was deeper than what was natural conversationally for us, it's still like it still has that vibe of the classic anime using really deep words and trying to sound intimidating, especially for the villains.
Like if you were like Taguro or like something using gagamitin ko ang aking 100% lakas. Like, oh, that's a mouthful.
Kind of like that. So it just had that element of nostalgia still.
Yeah. I have the same sentiments. I enjoyed the Filipino dub just because it reminded me of my childhood.
A lot of people like took issue with Liza Soberano as Trece, but I actually kind of liked it because she got the whole deadpan thing. Because in my head, this character is, it's Batman. She's not emotional or expressive in any way. So the deadpan thing kind of works. But you're right. You could tell when she was having trouble with the Filipino.
Yep.
She's more used to speaking in English, but especially you could see the difference. First line pa lang, she said Manila in such an Inglesero accent. Manila. And then started in deep Tagalog right after. So parang medyo may disconnect nun. But she did okay.
But props to the effort though.
Yeah, she really put an effort to it.
It was a good effort.
I appreciate it. But
I mean, especially when she got the incantations. It got to the incantations na rin.
Yeah.
Diba?
I guess just as a voice actor, she's not as trained as she is like in front of the camera with her beautiful face and like very expressive face. But maybe her voice is just not there yet. But you could see her progress as the series went by.
the thing about the English dub naman with Shay Mitchell as Alexandra in the English version.
Shay was great.
She was very expressive. She was great in getting across the characters' emotions and motivations across. But it would fall apart whenever she had to do the incantations in Filipino because that just pulled me right out of it.
Well, that's to be expected. You know, I mean, like I doubt she can speak Filipino at all, you know. But of course, but then you would have to give her, you know, props for trying at least, diba?
Yeah, but everything else, she was really good. Shay Mitchell,
she was very good.
You know, she's like, I'm an actress.
acting wise, she beat Liza Soberano. Like, I'm sorry, but yeah, Shay Mitchell got the acting part like 100%.
Yeah, she did. Although, well, there's also this debate going on why Liza. You see fan edits of other people dubbing over Trese or like other actresses dubbed over Trese with old lines from other teleseries or something. And there's also this debate on why didn't you just get a professional voice actor? It's like, I understand why they needed the star power because they wouldn't have advertised this as hard as they could have without the star power. Because like really before this whole Netflix series, did not many people knew about the comic. Most of the people, me included, only found out for the first time when they were already putting out the trailers and ads and marketing already. But like they really did need a star. It's star kind of power. Like it's also something that the industry practices, I guess. Maybe it's a deep rooted. I'm not sure if it's an issue, but it's a deep rooted thing that people really need star power for people to really get into it because we're a very celebrity centered culture.
I think it's the same concept as if they're releasing an animated movie. You get people who are really famous to voice the characters in an animated movie. Like let's say the new Super Pets cartoon with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
I'm so excited for that.
It's like like I mean, I don't think they'd get an unknown voice actor for that just because it's a big release. Because
okay. I'm gonna show my age at this point, which was gonna happen sooner or later, I guess.
But hasn't it been happening?
Why you gotta be a
episodes?
Jackass? No, I was gonna say what you're saying now about famous voice actors in animated movies. That's something that literally only started with 1992's Aladdin from Disney with Robin Williams as a genie. Because before that, they made it a point, like no big name actor would be caught dead voicing an animation because they didn't, they looked down on that sort of thing. Think about it. For the first 50 years of Disney animation, you can't name a single person in any of those movies. But from Aladdin onwards, they made it a point because it became a part of the marketing. And they realized that, hey, we can sell animation on the names more than the story, or as the case may be. But in this case, MJ is absolutely right. You couldn't put a veteran voice actor's name on all the billboards that Trese is on right now, all over the country. But you can put Liza Soberano. So I get where they're going with it, especially since it's their first effort at adapting a Filipino property. Yeah. And if this, I mean, it could have been much worse, honestly. But I think it turned out pretty well. I liked it. I liked it.
I mean, I wish we lived in a world that we didn't need to get, star power or whatnot. So to give more avenue for voice actors, like professionals, to actually shine on their own industry. But, that's not our world. And unfortunately, hopefully we'll get there. But unfortunately, that's not the case. It's not the reality.
I mean,
I do also,
going back to what Misha said earlier, I do. I mean, like as a fan of the books, I do agree with what Misha said that Liza Soberano kind of nailed the whole deadpan thing because she's Trese as a character is this cold calculating character. She's not. She's analytical. She's not supposed to show any emotion. I totally agree with that.
Right. She's Batman.
No, but here's the contrast. Here's the contrast, you just because if you compare Shay and Liza, they did both nail the deadpan part, but Shay still like took it up to another level. Still, I mean, you can be like a cold character, but you'd still have range somehow, which Liza was lacking a little bit. But I really hope for her that in the future she improves on it, especially if there's going to be a season 2, 3, etc., etc.
I hope there's a season 2.
Oh man, I really hope there's a season 2 because there's so many good stories that they haven't told yet.
I mean, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so much lore, there's so much lore to explore. It's just funny, like a rap. Lore to explore. Anyway, lore to explore. No, but there's just so much depth into it because no more. There's just so much depth into we've only touched the tip of what Pinoy mythology is all about. You didn't even see what other things could have been happening in this reality, in the reality of Alexandra Trese's world.
Okay, so let's get to the folklore. Something that we all obviously loved about it. These are familiar characters to us, like the Tikbalang, the white lady, the Chanak, and everything. So it's just like
white lady sa Balete Drive pa lang. It's like childhood fear.
Very specific also. Because white ladies can be like anywhere, but you had to go with the one in Balete Drive, obviously.
Yeah, right. It's the most iconic street for that story.
Mm-hmm. Can I be honest? Sorry, can I just be honest about the whole white lady thing?
Okay.
It made me laugh that they didn't bother trying to explain what the hell a white lady is in the English dub. So I'm imagining some American audiences were hella confused. So there's a dead white woman?
You mean Caucasian or?
I see. This is a racist cartoon.
Well, given that, it's not for them anyway. I think they really just like geared it towards people who would appreciate and understand. But if they watch it, I hope they like it,
Fingers crossed.
No, but the one thing I found cool was how they modernized like certain creatures like the Tikbalang. I mean, like, how would you embody a Tikbalang in the modern day? Oh, drag racer. Like, some people found it some people found it forced, but that really made sense to me because they're supposed to be these horses. They're supposed to be fat, these fast demonic horses, but that's kind of cool.
It is pretty cool.
So let's go into the episodes themselves. For anyone who hasn't seen the show yet, we are going to go into spoilers, so you have been warned.
Spoiler down.
And for anyone who hasn't seen the episodes, shame on you. Pinoy Pride. Where's your Pinoy Pride, man? Come on.
Wow.
Paano wala silang Netflix? Grabe ka naman.
That's even worse than the white shaming from that dead lady in the first episode. Is Trese secretly racist? I can see the clickbait now. Okay. The first
You're so fixated
story.
on the white lady, Misha.
I don't know. It's not every day you run into a white woman dead on the street. Okay, moving on. The first, something you'll notice right off the bat if you've actually had a chance to read the books, is that these episodes lift from a lot of different stories to make the individual episodes. So the first episode opens up with the White Lady, which is actually one of my favorite stories from the comics, but it goes in a completely different direction, combining it with things that happen from later volumes, actually. And in this one, this first episode, as much as I love that it sets up the world of Trese, it also comes across as a bit of an info overload. If you're not familiar with these creatures, with this city, with these demons and whatnot, you're gonna be overwhelmed. I don't think that's just me.
I'm sorry, because I read the books, and it's been a few years since I've read the books. The last, it was kind of overwhelming to me. As somebody who's read the books, I found it so overwhelming just because they had to mix in the past and the present, right? In case you haven't seen for people who haven't seen the show, there would be moments where there would be a case in the past, and then they would jump from the past and present times, which is kind of jarring in my opinion. Even if some of the flashbacks with Anton Trese were mostly in black and white, and some with the mom were in full color. So it was kind of jarring, even to somebody who's read the books, to see these time jumps. It's funny pa nga that she was even younger with a mom than she was with Anton Trese. Yet the one with Anton Trese would be the ones in black and white.
That is kind of weird. But the thing is, like, you and I read this before watching the show. MJ read it after watching the show. What did you think, MJ?
To be fair, it got me interested in reading the books. That's how compelling it was to me first time watching it. But it didn't feel confusing to me. I guess I just wasn't looking that into that nitty-gritty. Although, yeah, there were moments that flashbacks were in black and white and then some were in color. But that didn't necessarily confuse me. But I did feel that it was rushed. Like, so many things were already happening and they were getting down to like the big picture of this. Every episode or every encounter with a certain supernatural being or every case would lead to a bigger picture. But it jumped into that really fast. I wanted to get to know a little bit more about the characters before we got into the pow, 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 pow.
Yes.
Action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters in the story were the Kambal. Twins.
Of course.
Crispin and Basilio.
You kind of got that they were kind of the comic relief sidekicks and that really pushed through din naman. But I wanted to know more, I guess. Like how is their dynamic? How
which was to me kind of a waste, considering majority of the storyline of the flashbacks with Anton Trese was the storyline or the origin stories of the Kambal, of Crispin and Basilio.
It's like before you get into any important flashbacks, you need to get to know the characters a bit more. But they just jumped into that so quick that they're like, here's the backstory, by the way. But you're not as interested in the characters yet to care about the backstory.
Agreed.
So so it's like, okay. So I just went on with it and I enjoyed the entire ride. But at the end of it, it was like, I wish I got to know Alexandra more. I wish I got more from the Kambal or like the three of them. They're dynamic as a trio. And they showed snippets, but kulang.
You know what I felt like? I felt like they were trying to do so many different things, but they only had 6 episodes. So like they threw in everything but the kitchen sink. They threw in an overarching storyline that goes across all 6 episodes. They threw in the flashbacks to Alexandra's childhood, her issues with her dad, the backstory of the Kambal, the backstory of the bad guy, to the point that every episode now feels overstuffed. But and at the same time, they're trying to set up this world. And that only contributed to the overstuffed feeling. But maybe it was because they weren't sure they were going to get a second shot at this. So they just wanted to do as much as they could get away with now.
I guess I understand. Yeah,
understandable.
I understand. I still enjoyed it overall, but it just like left you wanting more. It did feel rushed, and that's just what I'm hoping for in season 2. Like, okay, you've done the big setups, you've gone through this one big storyline already. Then I hope you make season 2 and take time to breathe a little bit and get to know the characters a little bit more. Even if you just like add like teeny tiny cases, like how the books are. They start with just like case to case to case to case that they didn't need to be interconnected yet. But I got to know the characters a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I kind of pictured it in the first place, because I think it allows you some time to breathe, some time for the characters to grow on to you as you're watching the program or the show. So that's what I kind of wish they did instead of doing the whole flashback thing. We're trying to focus on Alexandra Trese, yet there's so many things happening all at the same time. Like, we all know that the Kambal are tied down to the overarching story. I wish they just saved that for a later season. I wish they just really did the whole setup of the world. And I think what MJ said about them doing a one case per episode would have been helpful, because then and there we could have been able to probably understand Trese as a character or the twins as a character. Even the supporting characters would get more.
You know what? Something that you said, like I rereading the stories after watching it, I was like looking at them and I'm like, you actually could have done like 3 cases per episode, like in 10-minute segments, rather than taking 3 or 4 cases and then mashing them up into one episode and everything overlapping with each other. You're absolutely right, the two of you, that it would have been nice, like if you get these self-contained stories that immersed us a little bit before they got into the mythology of it. But overall, I think they did a decent job in tying everything together, because the hype for this has been insane since
I don't think it was bad to begin with. I think it's decent. I think it's good. In fact, that they were able to do it in such a short amount of time. It's 6 episodes, and they, I think it was just such an ambitious goal. To the producers of the show that we want point B. Getting from point A to point B. They wanted point B to be this epic fight.
Yeah. I only wish that, although I did enjoy the ride, but something I appreciated about the books that I wish was in the series. Well, this is only after I read the books. It's like you realize how much deeper they go into each mythological creature or quote unquote villain that they encounter, because it's not just like, oh, I am an evil demon, blah, blah, blah. It's just like it also has a backstory or motivation between each creature that they didn't really go into here in the series. It's just like, oh, this person's connected to this person, but why?
That's true. And while they did retain a lot of the in-jokes, like the electric demons hanging out at Meralco headquarters, because that was fucking hilarious, can I just say?
That was genius. I was laughing so hard when I realized, oh my God, they're fighting in Meralco. I pass by every single day to work.
Kaya pala brown out.
But it was those kinds of touches that Budget and Kadjo threw in that made it, ours. These were our stories. And the show, for the most part, does a good job of translating that. It just, I noticed that they took some liberties with other things that would take a little more context to explain. Like, for example, Jeremy, their hacker contact, right? He's now a ghost. Whereas in the books, he's essentially the unwanted lizard baby under Robinson's Galleria. So, who grew up into an e-gamer. So, a ghost takes a lot less time to explain than the urban legend of, a billionaire heiress having a lizard snake baby thing and hiding it in a series of catacombs under a mall.
Those are the kind of things I wish they could have done the original one, because they could have saved the story of that in a later season.
Yeah, they could have.
But again, we're not even sure if they would have been,
appreciated.
Given a second season to work with.
Well,
so
that's
I guess
true.
Yeah, that's true. But I just wish it was. I just really wish it was more than 6. Actually, give me 10.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they could do what they wanted or what they wanted for these 6 episodes, but little breathing time, little more in depth characterization and into all the demons and everything. Like 4 more episodes would have been much better.
Yeah, even
but,
2 extra episodes would have been fine.
Something else that was fun about the original comics, that to some degree they translated on the show, was that there were so many Filipino pop culture gags. It wasn't just fighting an electric demon in front of Meralco headquarters. It was also stuff like, they would riff on things like local superheroes like Darna, and even Panday was in there to a degree. You'd have
you remember that? Okay,
Julio Valiente, for heaven's sake, was one of the warriors who was helping her father with the balete tree. And come on, these are local pop culture reference points. It wasn't just horror. It was everything that Sila Budget and Kadjo grew up with. And that was part of the fun. So yeah, I would love to have seen more pop culture gags, but I understand why they had to, for lack of a better word, internationalize it for general audiences. But what we got here is kind of awesome, because you've never seen things like tikbalangs, tiyanaks, aswang catering to an international audience before, but now they are, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and even how just urban legends, or how some people are actually connected to real life people. Let's say, we're not naming names or anything, but this is an actual rumor usually going on between female celebrities and getting pregnant and going off the radar for a while and then giving birth and then going back, and they turned it into something mythological they turned it into this whole Chanak arc, which just like totally makes sense because one, it's you have the creature itself, the Chanak, and two, you give it a more recent or you update it because of how you connect it to the culture of celebrities getting pregnant and hiding the baby. So it's just even more relatable that way, and I love it.
Yeah, but now I
It's
can't
actually
shake
one of the more
thought.
heartbreaking stories, right?
But now I can't shake the thought that, like, half of these aesthetic clinics, run backdoor abortions in the back.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I was like, holy crack!
holy
They did
moly.
not just go there.
I know they went there. I guess so.
That's pretty dark.
Must where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know. Maybe.
If I had to choose, to be perfectly honest, I think that actually was my favorite episode. That one with Nova Aurora, the starlet who has an abortion or tries to get her baby killed, and the baby comes back as an undead force of the underworld.
Yeah,
I like that one
episode.
because that was the episode that I think for me it had the most time to breathe with its presentation because it wasn't trying to forward the overall arc. It just focused mostly on these characters and their situation, and that was cool. I liked it. I could have used more of that.
Yeah, so that's what we were saying. That let's focus on the case, and in that way, you also saw the motivations or like of the creature itself. It's like why is this creature attacking? Oh, it just wants its mom. It gives it a depth.
Purpose.
Yeah, purpose.
I liked also something about that episode was instead of trying to push the overall narrative, other than a token mention at the end where somebody tells her that she should be careful about who she trusts, that they were able to flesh out like side characters like Hank the bartender.
Hank, I love Hank.
Hank is actually a real person, okay? He's based on a real bartender, a real rock star that we know. And in the show, they turned him into your Tito's Tito with his 70s car and his 8-track music playing and his overpowering cologne. And it just worked,
that.
It was
I like
funny.
that part where the Kambal were riding in him and then they were trying to open the windows.
Riding in him? Wait, what?
Oh my God, what did you
Please
watch?
rephrase.
Oh my God. You're disgusting.
Riding in his car. Riding in his car. Fuck.
Okay.
You're offensive.
Just so we're clear. Riding in the car. Okay.
Just so we're
Continue.
clear.
Okay, let's try that
riding in
again.
his car.
Let's try that again.
Okay, I like that bit where the Kambal were riding in his car and they were trying to figure out how to open the windows, and because he had this 1970s 80s car which had those those things you had to wind so that you bring the window down. You're trying to figure out how to open that thing. Like, paano pa to?
Or like fighting over the playlist, which has
They couldn't
happened to all of us.
They couldn't figure out the tapes.
Wait,
But you know what's funny also about this while we're on the topic of technology, how Alexandra held on her 3310 to summon the spirit of the great Binondo fire. But like everyone else around her has a smartphone.
Well, if you had to have something,
Sounds cool.
if you had to have a cell phone, summon a spirit of the fire and throw that phone around, you'd have to have a 3310, right?
Yeah, that's
I guess
true.
you would. You could kill a dude with that and still be able to text.
She throws that phone around and it's still alive. She's using it,
Good point. Good point.
Right. Something she
That
doesn't
phone's
need to update.
indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many people have actually tried dialing the date of the San Telmo fire, of the Binondo fire, and try and summon a fire demon.
Ooh, should we try right now? What
I don't have a
smartphones.
3310.
Not on smartphones.
Oh, well.
What did you guys think about the action sequences, though? Because Jay Oliva, the director, is a veteran of a lot of DC animated projects and even did some storyboard work for Zack Snyder. And
He did stories.
his DC
No, but
animated stuff is actually pretty solid. So, what did you guys think of it here?
I think it's not as smooth. It's not as smooth as the DC animated stuff he's done. He's the guy who he was the architect of the DC animated movie universe. Like he did like more than 10 movies of this one overarching, this shared universe DC movies. Yeah. But it was pretty cool. It just, compared to that quality of work to what Trese has, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's good, but it's nowhere near to I guess it's probably budget constraints or
But they're not
so many
superheroes
things.
here.
I mean, like no, like it doesn't come off as smooth as those animation that he's done before. It's like it's how they move. It's kind of like blocky. It sometimes feel rushed. Like parang the artists weren't given enough time to do the proper animation just to move properly.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Like probably given the time constraints, they didn't have time to really like animate like all the in-betweens that would make it smoother, like draw that frame per frame per frame per frame slowly.
Yeah.
So they had it did feel a little bit choppy, but for the most part, at least it was consistent. It was it was consistent. So yun na yung style niya eh. So I just accepted it as that.
Yeah, yun din.
It was like your usual anime where like they went big in the first fight or in the Aswang the Aswang wet market, and then they had like a semi big fight with Electric Demon in the second episode. Third episode was a little laid back with the Chanuks that were barely moving, and then 4 was mostly subdued. But then they blew the budget on 5 and 6 when shit really starts happening. So it was like those animes. Like you remember Slam Dunk where it took 2 weeks to do a free throw?
Jesus Christ!
They would save the budget until for everything that happens after the free throw. But for now, we gotta kill time. So yes,
for now,
2 weeks for a fucking free throw.
For now, you've only got the cheerleaders doing 2 moves. Up and down, up and down, up and down.
Good times. Or like how Vegeta would monologue for a week and a half before throwing a punch. That kind of shit. So, they would save the budget for where it counts. That's how it hit me.
I understood. I guess I don't. I don't know if it's a bad thing. Na ganon na. Oh, I understand because budget. I understand because time constraints. Alam mo yun, parang
that's true. We shouldn't be thinking of those things.
At what point should we start
accept
understand? Or parang are we making excuses or are we
that's
just
true.
settling? Or I don't know. But it's a good thing to also know and understand, I guess, and be open-minded to that thing. But standards-wise, for me at least, it's not like a lot of anime I've watched even in my childhood, which were like in the 90s pa, that might have been even smoother. But, it's
para sa akin,
consistent siya eh.
Regardless of the quality of it, it's still a great achievement. I mean, local product, internationally known now. An international streaming service. I mean, like we have like one of the more well-known comic book artists raving about it, diba? Like Gail Simone. Misha sent me this tweet that
she's a
Gail
writer.
Simone, she's a writer of comic books.
One of the best. And she knows Jay Oliva from his adaptations of her DC projects. And she was like, we're addicted to this show. And that was just so freaking cool. Enough. Because like, if you look at like the early books, you'll see in the back where they put letters and, little bonus things. One of their earliest supporters was actually Neil Gaiman. And that helped the show get a big boost. And when they actually started printing for an international market in 2018, they crowdsourced it initially. And they were able to meet their crowdfunding goals because Neil Gaiman retweeted the call to action. So this thing Trese has always had its international fans, and now it gets to build a bigger base. It's no longer a niche thing, which is really cool.
Yeah, big picture, it's doing great. I think we're just nitpicking at this point.
I think we are.
Overall, it's still great. But
Agreed.
it's still worth talking about. For feedback is always good for what they can improve on. Because at least we're saying this with a lot of love for the material.
Yes, I do have one gripe about the whole production is that for the English dub, which I didn't appreciate, was they were trying to use Filipino colloquial. Like the word bossing.
That was weird.
That was just
bossing.
You can't say bossing in English. It doesn't work.
Yeah, just if you just wanted to say bossing, you could have just went with boss because it just sounded so
boss is cool.
off.
Boss word.
There's also a way of saying like boss. Diba? Like even here, you just even if you're just
but
even locally, you just say boss.
But if you were to translate, because we know that in Taga in the original comic books that they would actually say bossing, and you would know, being a Filipino, you would know what bossing meant, and you could actually say it in the way that we would say it. But if you were somebody who grew up in a different country, the word bossing is like,
why are they calling her a verb?
Yeah, like come on, I mean, like, right, exactly. And then it just sounds so weird if you hear, especially when you hear it.
True.
Where do you want to go? Bossing. It sounds so, I don't know, blocky how they would even say it or deliver that.
Okay, I get what you're saying, and that's exactly what
I have.
That's why I had to watch the Filipino dub, because it just didn't work in my head.
Yeah.
Because they were trying so hard to be Filipino speaking English, but you could tell that it's not where they were coming from.
I could forgive Shay Mitchell for the incantations, because they are incantations. But then Filipino colloquial does not translate well if you're going to say the exact same word in an English sentence.
Wait a minute, you can't forgive her for the incantations. Do you know what happens when you say incantations wrong?
At least she summoned the right demons. They understood the accent.
Plot armor.
No,
but I get what you're saying. Because the incantations themselves, they're in like entirely in Tagalog. So even if you mess the accent up, at least you're saying it completely. So when you have these English dubs saying bossing, it's kind of like Taglish in our sense. But Taglish works for our accent. Taglish doesn't work when you're predominantly speaking English and then sneak in Tagalog in there. It's not natural because that doesn't exist.
Can I just say something though? It was freaking awesome in whatever dub you're watching, English or Filipino, when somebody would say "putang ina." That was
awesome. Yes! It was so shocking at first. Because
so
you're used to watching. Yes, you're used to watching anime as a kid with no swearing, right? So since it did feel nostalgic, and when you're watching it, like, oh, it's like watching old school anime, and then they say puta. It's like, okay. It was a pleasant surprise. I'm so glad they're able to swear.
There's another colloquialism, not so much a colloquialism, but it's also like a local reference point, going back to what we were talking about earlier, that didn't translate. Crispin and Basilio, the names of the kambal, they're not referred to by those names in the English dub at all, because then you'd have to explain who Crispin and Basilio are in our literary history. But in the Filipino dub, you don't need to explain that stuff.
You don't.
So that's why in the English dub, they're just boys.
Oh, that's sad though. I didn't get to the part, like, since I did flip-flop, I didn't know that they weren't called their names. But that's kind of sad. Like, why don't you have names? They're just like, it's like, oh, it's short hair guy and ponytail, or in half ponytail guy. It's like, oh, that's sad. I didn't know that.
With regard to, like, remember how we were saying earlier that the episodes feel kind of overstuffed, or like they were rushing. It was weird in that for all that rushing, they still saw fit to use the last 2 episodes as an even bigger info dump.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God,
like
that part
the last episode
where he was monologuing.
Oh my God, he was monologuing for like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. That's
si Vegeta. I'm like, come on. Vegeta. You're like Vegeta now.
It's like most of the episode. Kasi 20 minutes yan, ang runtime ng Trese is like 31 minutes or something.
Ayaw mo nun, parang old school anime talaga. Ang dami niya in-explain.
Yun nga yun. Yun na nga yun.
Ayaw mo nun. So, oh, shit's about to go down. They're telling the story of their life. Shit's about to go down.
Pero that was during that part siguro, while he was monologuing, siguro one of my favorite moments is monologue, and then Captain Guerrero comes up with a rocket launcher, shoots the face. Boom.
I would do the same. I would do the same. It's like, shut up.
That was fucking cool. Like, tangina, ang ingay mo. Boom. It's like, oh. So that's how you shoot a god in the face, though.
See, the big bad in question is basically a god of war named Talagbusao, and apparently budget found a reference to him, like 1 or 2 paragraphs in an old book called the Book of Souls. And that's where he got his descriptions, his definitions for a lot of the creatures that they ended up using on the show. But the thing about Talagbusao is, because there's only like 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs describing this god of war, which he didn't even know existed, he felt he could go all in and making up whatever the hell he wanted. And he did. And it's really cool the way they realized him. You know, nothing can take him out. They hit him with modern weapons. He's all bloody and gory, but he reforms like Wolverine. And the only thing I didn't like about him was his monologue. Oh my God. He did like, like worse than a James Bond villain. He was just monologuing like for 20 minutes straight, explaining how everything fit together.
His plans. It's a classic
His
villain
plans,
monologue.
her history, how we're not so different, you and I. I'm like, oh my God, stop talking.
You've been lied to by your father, etc., etc.
Look inside,
Yeah.
you know it's true. Make it stop.
That's why he got a rocket launcher to his face.
I know. If only they had more rockets.
Oh.
Oh well. Yeah, still though, it's pretty cool that you get this badass villain based off of 2 paragraphs.
I got
Literature.
a question.
That is a lot of
about-
imagination. That's great though.
Mhm.
I got a
Yep.
question about the ending though. So like she makes a portal, right? And then she pulls him into it. And then does she go to hell with him? Or do they end up like at that balete tree where she earned her heritage? I got kind of lost.
I think the balete tree is some sort of a portal-ish type where she has. I don't know. That's what the balete tree was supposed to represent in the book. Because you apparently that balete tree was supposed to test her, right?
Yeah, that was like her great trial, so she can be the babaylan magdirigma.
So I assumed on the books, based on the books, was that when you entered the balete tree, that in itself would bring you to a different world. Because that's how I pictured it. That's how I imagined it in the book.
So how
I
is
don't
that
know.
a punishment for the big bad by breaking him to the tree?
Supernatural shit. So it's it's magic.
felt-
It's hard to explain.
I felt like it was cliffhangery for a next season.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Maybe.
If you have more
So they
questions-
don't like really explain outright where she went, like
Mm-mm.
or why she went to that baleta tree, which by the way, I was a little shooketh at the entrance shaped like a vagina. But that aside, tell me it's true. It did look like a vagina, but
I would not be the one to point such things out because clearly I am the nice one.
I did not notice as well because I
You
have been
did
watching
not.
on. No, we've been watching on the iPad because the baby sleeps, so we can't watch on the TV now.
you don't need a big screen to say it looks like a vagina. But
What
anyway.
the hell, man? So what? You want to recognize a vagina on a screen?
I don't know.
I'm gonna rephrase that. You don't recognize a vagina on a touch screen?
Oh my
No.
God. Anyway.
I don't
yeah.
know. I didn't notice what it looked like. It then I'll watch again. I'll see if it does look like a vagina.
Like notice in her training when she enters the tree. Enters. Oh. Makes sense now.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah. That
Anjo,
ending,
next time you watch it on your iPad, you can pinch and zoom.
No!
Fuck. Oh man.
I regret mentioning it now. I shouldn't have brought it up in the first place. But anyway, yeah, I felt like it was a bit cliffhangery because I wasn't sure why she went there or if that
That's
really is the
true.
place or is it like some creepy dimension taking her back to her past. It wasn't really clear. But again, season 2, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully.
I'm actually interested in how all that ties into the mid-credits cliffhanger because that was pretty cool and actually is something that we've not seen in any of the books. The mid-credits scene for the finale shows Chinese vampires coming out of Binondo, which I think is absolutely badass.
That's so
That's
cool.
super new.
Of course, Binondo, since it's Chinese. Chinatown,
of
course.
And I want to see where they go. But like all the things that we said earlier, I hope that they're able to take their time with this one.
Yes.
I honestly think the show's already proven its stripes. Filipinos all over the world have gone crazy for it. Like Trese broke the top 10 in like 20 countries
Yes.
on Netflix.
Yes,
Because
it
people
did.
the Filipinos have just been so, well, number one, okay, here's the thing. Number one, Filipinos love to see themselves on the screen, whether it's like a reality show or like a bit part in a movie or whatever.
Pinoy
It's the
pride,
first-
Pinoy pride.
But this is the first time we've actually had a piece of pop culture entertainment designed specifically for us, from us, essentially by us. So this is a big deal. It's
Big.
this is what people talk about with regards to representation. It really matters.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Whether it doesn't have to be something big, blockbustery, multi-million dollar movie. It can be something based on a small, initially self-published comic book of a badass hero kicking demon butt, in Metro Manila. Because at the end of the day, it's the context that matters.
I mean, what we've got for these short but still very jam-packed episodes, still something to be very proud of, because it's not
Yes.
just a character being Filipino. It's an entire culture. It's not just the folklore. It's even like it doesn't shy away from realities in the current state of the Philippines. Like, you have corrupt politicians.
Oh God.
You even have like corrupt businessmen here, which is sadly such a huge reality. And so it's not just about the supernatural here. You're also touching on things that we experience every single day. And while not everybody sees a white lady or a tikbalang or a tiyanak, you still see these other monsters, which is very highly quoted in the TV series also, that it's not just the monsters or the demons, the supernatural that
Absolutely.
are evil.
Yeah.
It's like there are horrors in real people as well.
The one thing that kind of struck me was in one of those episodes, I think it was episode 4 with the precinct episode where Captain
Yes,
Guerrero.
oh my God, that gave me chills.
Yep.
When Captain Guerrero was telling off his 2 men, like saying like, you're not supposed to treat people that way. It's like, oh yeah, we have dirty cops like that too.
We do, and even just that addict that they arrested, like even just like say the names of your victims, like even acknowledging that the police brutality that happens, like that gave me chills. It really did. So it's not just, it's very current and
Absolutely.
goosebumps.
It's updated.
It
'Cause,
is
this-
updated. Yeah.
The material was originally written before 2010.
It was written in like 2005, and in recent interviews, Budget actually has been quoted as saying that they didn't intend for it to be a political work. In fact, it's kind of depressing how the stuff that they wrote about 15 years ago is still current now with regards to the non-monsters. When it comes to the people parts, it's depressing that this stuff still happens.
Yep.
But it's also why it's such good work, because it's relatable, especially for us. Because we experience that on a daily basis, even now, since the books were written in 2005, it's now 2021 and it's still happening. It's kind of cool that it translated well, because, when Filipinos everywhere watch it, it's like, alam ko yan, the government's not working well enough for us to supply good public
That's not
transport.
cool. That's kind of depressing.
It is a little
Cool in a way that we...
No, that's super
It is
depressing.
It's depressing. And what I'm trying to say is that, like Filipinos all over the world can relate to that. It's like, there. That's what I was trying to say. It's not cool.
I wish it wasn't the case, but it is. And I guess that just makes it all the more powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, if like they say when you're gonna make art or whatever, you start with what you know, and at some point, you can't help but put bits of yourself into your creations. And in this case, they put things that every Filipino can relate to, and that's both good and bad. It's good in that there's something we can all universally agree on, but it's also bad in that, holy crap, why is this still happening? It's like at some point you would rather fight tiyanaks, aswang, and tikbalang rather than deal with, endless corruption, backroom abortions of celebrities, and persecution of drug addicts and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, tiyanak na lang, please.
Yeah, I think we're better off with the Chinese vampires.
I'd rather go drag racing with the horse or something.
I think I found the right word for it more than anything. I think it's familiar to us all.
Yeah.
Like I think that would be the best word to describe it. That's why I find it really, really cool. Even if it's like a depressing topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts? Would you recommend this show and why?
Fuck yeah. Sorry, I didn't even let you finish. I didn't even let you finish. I'm like, fuck yeah.
I'll take that as a yes.
Well, this is coming from me who initially has not read the comic books. I still really enjoyed it. And it just gave me, I mean, the term Pinoy pride, it can be misused in so many ways. It's so cliche, but this is where I genuinely felt it. And it's not just because like, oh, so-and-so has half Filipino blood and he or she are they're in a big Hollywood movie of some sort.
Buti nga kung half hindi 1/8 eh.
1/16 in a singing contest or something.
Ooh,
but this is like genuinely birthed here, like every single thing. So it really does give you that sense of pride. And even though it has its gaps and its holes or, shortcomings, I'm still... Yes. I am so incredibly proud that this is ours because it just says how rich of a culture we do have. And I wish they could expound more on that in season 2 because we have so many great stories to tell, not just our urban legends and mythology and not just like our current reality of like terrible human beings, but it's just such a great representation of us, and it made me interested in reading the comics. And I think that's also an important part, like getting to know the source material and appreciating it in another medium. And I do not regret it. Reading the books, like wow, like this.
Did they
this really
turn you into a bigger fan?
Yes, it did.
Yes.
And it made me even want to watch the series again and to see more to it. And maybe get a haircut with cool bangs like that. I don't know, but it's
like
great.
one giant bang in
like
the middle.
one giant widow's peak somewhere in the middle, or it makes me want to wear a long trench coat in the Metro Manila heat. Okay. But it's so much to love, about it.
I actually want to see the reprinted ones, the ones that was crowdsourced, because I want to see the quote unquote remaster of the comic books. Cause
that's what I'm reading now. It is great.
Because the ones being sold now are based on the 2018 remaster, which is not to be confused with the 2013 remaster. So basically, if you guys have like the old art from 2005, that's not being printed anymore. So hold on to that.
Yeah, but
the new ones are so pretty.
Yeah, but I'm just so in love with the whole story in itself, even just from the series without the books. I'm just like, yes, give me a season 2 right now.
I want a season 2.
Please. I want the season 2. I want the season 2.
I can't say anything better than what she just said. I mean, she hit all the points. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try.
Contribute.
Same. Well, we can contribute the yes, we recommend it, and then
yes,
MJ's comments.
Or how about something from people who read the book before seeing the series? For the people who have read it before the series and are skeptical.
I'm gonna try. No. I was skeptical going in, but when I saw the first trailer, I was all in, honestly, because this is something that I've seen grow over the years. I know how passionate the fans are, and if you look at like their official Facebook group, some of them, they really, really, really are into this. The show was announced like in November 2018, but the online discourse was going on for so long, for so many years. They were wondering, will there be a live action? Will there be an animated thing? Is it going to be a movie? Whatever. That when Netflix finally announced it in November 2018, they just went nuts. So they were analyzing each and every single thing about it, from the casting to the locations to the animation style. But when it finally came out, it was just like this really, really big feeling of people coming together for something they loved. And for like a couple of hours, when that thing dropped at midnight on June 11, they could put aside all that pettiness, all that snarkiness, all that nitpicking, because they just wanted to see their hero on the screen. And if nothing else, Netflix gave that to us. They gave us a hero who is ours. They gave us a hero doing things that are supernatural, sure, but it was in situations and contexts that we could recognize, that we could own, that were familiar to us. Absolutely, Anjo was right. And for me, I cannot put a price tag on that. That's just insane feeling of bringing us all together. And I heartily recommend it for anyone Filipino, or if you grew up in the city in Manila, or even if you just have a passing interest in some kind of mythology that doesn't involve vampires and werewolves. There is something here
finally,
for
something
you to
different.
discover, you know?
Yes.
There's more to the world than Western mythology and Western supernatural stuff. And it's about damn time that we got to see some of these creatures realized with the infinite possibilities of animation. It's updated from what we saw in the books. You know, some of the tech is updated, the outfits are updated a little bit, and overall they streamline the designs. But at the end of the day, it's still recognizably that world that these two young advertising guys created in the early 2000s, and it's just awesome. I cannot wait for a second season.
Yes. Yeah, you pretty much said everything that I felt. Except that, everything's updated except Alexandra Trese's phone. No, but yeah.
3310 for life.
Yeah, but somebody who's read the books and, a big fan of what Budgetan and Kajo Baldismo came up with is that I'm just glad that we're being represented on such a global scale and it's being done really well. Like people from all over the world have been exposed, are now exposed to what the folklore is like, or not just the culture, how rich our folklore is. It's not just going to be about the typical Greek, Norse, or Japanese mythology. Now the Filipino mythology is out there too,
which is so cool.
That
super
would be
cool.
Amazing. Just like other countries, just like seeing how rich that culture is, or even the possibilities of these characters getting recognized and being made stories out of too.
And not only that, it's also bringing back Filipinos to what grassroots are, because I'm pretty sure Filipinos are more familiar with Greek mythology more than Filipino mythology. So that's what's pretty cool, is that kids these days are going to be more familiar with the tikbalang, or what the white ladies, or like kapre, when if a season, or what kapres are, if should there be a season 2 that would come out.
Something that's neat also, I didn't get to mention earlier, was that I like the way that what you said, they used they used the mythology, but they were able to weave it into the current social political context. I just said that. But no, I like it because it makes it no. It makes it current. It makes it relevant in a lot of ways that I'm sorry to say that a lot of local productions, a lot of local attempts of integrating mythology just fall flat because it comes across as like a token attempt for some. It feels like they're force feeding it to you. But here it's an organic part of the world.
Yeah,
it's not so contrived.
Yes, absolutely. Because I've lost track how many Captain Philippine variants we have of people dressed in the flag of some sort. And like, okay, we get it, you're Filipino, but to see it in this context, in the context of like a gritty film noirish mystery anime thing, and having it make some kind of sense, I would choose that anytime over forced flag waving.
Just because subtlety works wonders. It's not force feeding. It's not slapping somebody in the face with nationalism. It's like, it's so subtle. It's like, not even her outfit looks vaguely Pinoy. It looks like
it's not Filipino for the sake of being Filipino, basically.
Yep.
It's just so organic because the world was already built that way. So they didn't have to go very far. Oh yeah, Spirit Detective. That is just a perfect way of weaving everything together. So that world just makes sense. The Manila underworld.
Yep.
So yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Talk about crime, politics, corruption, monsters, demons, diwatas.
Now we're probably gonna see. We're probably gonna see like something related to a Chinese triad in Binondo in the next season. Based off on the mid-credit scene. Of the Chinese
how
vampire.
Awesome would it be if they put in that Filipino-Chinese traditions there, and you'd see a cameo of Chris Aquino doing feng shui shit.
I actually like Feng Shui 1. Can I just say?
Yeah, right? So it's like, oh my God, can you please give us a Chris Aquino Easter egg somewhere there if while you're in Binondo?
I will see your Chris Aquino Easter egg and raise you. What if those Chinese vampires know Kung Fu and they spent the budget on that fight?
Hindi Kung Fu, Wushu. But I would love that. I would love that.
Because, the traditional
That would be cool.
traditional depiction of Chinese vampires is basically them with their arms outstretched and hopping. It's not very threatening at all.
Hopping. It's funny though. I love those
That's
Chinese
the only
movies
word
with
for
their-
it. They're fucking hopping.
Well, yeah, lots of hope for season 2. And we genuinely wish that whatever could be improved on will be improved on in season 2. Should there be a season 2? But what we have for season 1 is something we can be very well proud of. Damn well proud of.
Absolutely. And if anyone is pirating this show, you go to hell and you die.
I was going to make a joke, but I couldn't think of one. I'm too sleepy. I was going to... Okay, fine. Ito.
Sige.
No, it's not a good joke. But anyway, we can just end it. You can just go and die or you're gonna die and then Alexandra Trese is gonna go come for you in the underworld and kill you again.
Yeah, because piracy is a crime.
Derek Ramsey will be there with her.
Pare.
Tangina. Tangina ang Derek Ramsey will be with her.
Oh my God, that would be
With
hilarious.
tomatoes.
Remember.
With tomatoes.
Hold on to your tomatoes. Kamatis ko.
All right. Okay. So I guess that's an episode. We definitely enjoyed Trece, and if you haven't seen it yet, totally recommend it to you. And we hope you liked it as much as we did. And thanks for listening. Pengen choknat. That's a weird ending. I'm sorry. I just really want choknat right now.
You can look us up on Facebook, Sub-Auteurs, We Like Movies, where we talk about the latest movie news, memes, and all-around nonsense. You can also get updates on our newest episodes and see what's coming up.
Subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe to our podcast. Follow.
Are you a ghost or a Russian? I'm confused now.
I don't know.
Are you a
I'm
Russian ghost?
sleepy.
Is he the Baba Yaga?
Right idea, wrong ghost.
Okay.
Oh.
That's our cue. We're going off the rails.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, let's. Jesus Christ. We are the Sub-Auteurs. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think about Trece. I'm Misha.
I'm MJ.
And I'm Anjo.
Magandang gabi. Paalam.
Bayan?
No. Just no.